It's now time for Sista Talk with RaeShantael, live on Truth Muzic Radio, where the Z is for Zion.
Barak nefeshi Yahuwah Korebi Shem Koresh Shem Koresh Barak nefeshi Yahuwah Korebi Shem Koresh Shem Koresh Sha'at Hai Ater Chiseraha Ga'al Sha'at Hai Ater Chiseraha Barak Nefeshi Yahuwah Korebi Shem Koresh Shem Koresh Barak Nefeshi Yahuwah Korebi Shem Koresh Shem Koresh Saba Tov Adi Hadash Nishene Uri Saba Tov Adi Hadash Nishene Uri Barak Nefeshi Yahuwah Korebi Shem Koresh Shem Koresh Barak Nefeshi Yahuwah Korebi Shem Koresh Shem Koresh Asa Zedaka Yahuwah Mishpat Kol Asa Zedaka Yahuwah Mishpat Kol Barak Nefeshi Yahuwah Korebi Shem Koresh Shem Koresh Barak Nefeshi Yahuwah Korebi Shem Koresh Shem Koresh Bless Yahuwah, oh my soul, and all that's within me. Bless His holy name. Bless Yahuwah, oh my soul, and all that's within me. Bless His holy name. Bless Yahuwah, oh my soul, and all that's within me. Bless His holy name. Bless Yahuwah, oh my soul, and all that's within me. Bless His holy name.
Bless Yahuwah, oh my soul, and all that is within me. Bless His holy name. Bless Yahuwah, oh my soul, and forget not all His benefits. Who forgives all your iniquities, who heals all your diseases, who redeems your life from destruction, who crowns you with loving kindness and tender mercies, who satisfies your mouth with good things, so that your youth is renewed like the eagles.
Bless Yahuwah, O my soul, and all that is within me. Bless His holy name. Then Moshe said unto Yahuwah, O Yah, I am not eloquent, neither before nor since you have spoken to your servant. but I am slow of speech and slow of tongue. And Yahuwah said unto him, Who has made man's mouth, or who makes the mute, the deaf, the seeing, or the blind? Have not I, Yahuwah? Therefore, my prayer this day is, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Yah, my strength and my redeemer. Hallelujah. Shalom Aleichem to all the Israelites across the world and to all those who are grafted in. Welcome to Sista Talk with RaeShantael on Truth Muzic Radio, where the Z is for Zion. Please forgive me, family, for my tardiness. That is very unfortunate for these technical difficulties. I apologize. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Excuse me. But yes, please forgive me for my tardiness, and I'm hoping that this doesn't happen again. But thank you very much for tuning in, and this week I do have a very special guest with me. You hear her song at the beginning of every Sista Talk. It just went off and before the opening prayer. And so I would like to introduce to you Aaliyah Taavi out of Texas, who will be joining me for a Sista Talk this evening, so stay tuned. But right now, we're going to get into some music, and when we come back, we're going to have this Sista Talk. So again, thank you for joining me this evening. Most High bless you, and here we go.
Whoa, yeah. I gotta thank Yahweh for being the chosen seed of Israel. Here's the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of the Yah and the faith of Mashiach. Whoa, yeah. I gotta thank Yahweh for being the chosen seed of Israel. Here's the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of the Yah and the faith of the Mashiach. Oh, yeah, whoa. I'm here to encourage you, brothers and sisters, trying to paint to you a better picture. Everything I say, I back it up with the scriptures to get you out the matrix. It's been over 400 years of lies. You gotta open up your eyes, 'cause there's so many reasons we in captivity. You gotta flee from the heathens. There is hope in our future, even though they trying to do us sin. But we live to fight another day. Vengeance is to Yah. We'll be praying for Yahweh. I gotta thank Yahweh for being the chosen seed of Israel. Here's the patience of the saints. Whoa. Here are they that keep the commandments of the Yah, and the faith of Mashiach. Whoa, yeah. I gotta thank Yahweh for being the chosen seed of Israel. Here's the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of the Yah and the faith of the Mashiach. Whoa, hey, whoa. Da. Do-be, da.
show him honor. In Yahushua Mashiach, please, I live in water. Wash away our sins, our problems, and our old traumas. Praise your name, Yahuwah, you kept your promise. I just take a pause on my life and the things I dealt. I just praise your name through the trials and the pains I felt. Let's be the man who labor his hands up the ground he tells. I can be angry without King Yahushua. Don't take the hammer and nail. All praise to the Most High YHWH. Your word's been so sweet like honey. Joyful to my soul. Also health to my flesh, joints, and my bones. I give you the glory and praise, you've been so told. You turned my silence and my quietness to a melody tone. You took my fears and my weaknesses and made them strong. You could have chose anybody in the world. That's what's got me blown. Yakabo, Yakabo, Cabo, Cabo, ooh, Cabo, Cabo. Glory. We got so many miles on our stay, gotta keep it going. Your name is dressed with so much weight. I just ask you close me. Every day I hit my knees, I pray. I just bless my morning. Your mercies is so wondrous. Your presence, I pray it come again. Like the lightning and the thundering. We praise your name, Yahuwah. Fear and trembling, obedience and a discipline. These times I've been taking care of me, yeah. Me, yeah. I praise the Most High and glorify our King, yeah. Our King, yeah. Forever His hands placed on my soul. Yahushua, you take the wheel, we take full control. Flood your ruach in my temple, I praise you. Cabo, Cabo, Cabo.
Y'all the main ones I'm watching on my throne. Created everything, but I called you my own. That land I gave you, put my name on it, my home. Yeah, that's my home. Israel, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. I made a promise, can't nobody take it. I chose to put you above all the nations. Out of your graves, I chose to awaken. We made a covenant, don't you forsake it. Come get protected while they going crazy. Israel, my firstborn, my baby. Israel, my firstborn, my baby. I woke you up in your land of captivity. I do not change, I want you to remember me. Laws and commandments, I gave you the remedy. Go read the testimonies for your memory. I sent them prophets, but you wasn't hearing me. I come to you if you really come near to me. I heard your cry, now it's time to take it to me. I know what got you from all of your enemies. Who you know open the sea. Them waters was bitter, but I made it sweet. In case you ain't know how to swim, I'm your protector, so I made you walk on your feet. This a reminder you married to me. I just want you to be all I called you to be. They called you niggas, but I made you priests. I'm about to give you back everything. I'm sending plagues for you. I'm sending boys drying up rivers. I leave them dead for you. Tell Pharaoh, let my people go. You heard what I said for you. Tell Pharaoh, let my people go. You heard what I said for you. For you, you only ever known. Y'all the main ones I'm watching on my throne. Created everything, but I called you my own. That land I gave you, put my name on it, my home. Yeah, that's my home. Israel. I'm the reason you in captivity. We made a covenant, you ain't remember me. You broke the covenant, I sent your enemy. Get out my lane since you wasn't fearing me. I'm the reason they put you in chains. I'm the reason they switched up your name. I'm the reason why you in the hood. I'm the reason of all your pain. I'm sending flows fast, daily. Think I don't love you. Y'all my babies. Gave my son, must be crazy. Come out that system, come out of that lady. They got that military, it would not phase me. It would not move me, it would not graze me. Remember Egypt, I did all that for my people. You only ever known. Y'all the main ones I'm watching on my throne. Created everything, but I called you my own. That land I gave you, put my name on it, my home. Yeah, that's my home. You only ever known. Y'all the main ones I'm watching on my throne. Created everything, but I called you my own. That land I gave you, put my name on it, my home. Yeah, that's my home. Israel.
It's time to rise. 300 trumpets. Shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and none of the people shall be afraid? This is the notable day of the Lord.
300 men, let's get it. 300 trumpets, 7 priests. We ephods, cry loud, spare not. We ain't gotta fight this war. Father gon' stand up for us. 300 trumpets.
You sound off the alarm.
I woke up feeling like Gideon. They know the prophets is here again. If we do the commandments, we finna win. Jacob come back to the covenant. Scared for what? Surrounded by angels. I am not telling you don't get protection, but you really think a gun gon' save you. Michael is waiting. This is a spiritual war. Israel get on one accord. Check your pride at the door. Pride been holding us back for centuries. If we get sealed, he gon' give us abilities. I got this trumpet. Check my artillery. Know you can't see him, but I got some men with me. Let's go to war. 300 men. 300 trumpets, 7 priests. We ephods, cry loud, spare not. We ain't gotta fight this war. Father gon' stand up for us. 300 trumpets. Gabriel, Phanuel, Raphael, Michael. Blowing trumpets, it sound like a siren. Half an hour, a moment of silence. Hold back the 4 winds, count the elect, seal them in their foreheads. 144,000, ancient of days. None can stand before him, you know that he gon' win. This is the moment, a trumpet is blown. I see hail and fire mingle with blood. The second angel is ready to blow again. Volcanoes erupt, seas turning to blood. This is a warning. Weeding the tares, sheep and the goats. Look around, you can see that we close to the harvest. And we about to go all in, it's too late to be falling. 300 trumpets, 300 men, 300 trumpets, 7 priests. We ephods, cry loud, spare not. We ain't gotta fight this war. Father gon' stand up for us. 300 trumpets, moving with judgment and mercy and faith. Glory to Abba, the sun's on the way. We came on the boats of the United States. 400 years, still we remain. Time to take the chains off. We do this in the memory of Eleazar. If they in your face with the pork on the fork and they threaten you with death, would you eat it? Would you say nah? Would you pass out? Would you remain calm? Ain't nothing changed. We honor the same laws. They hid the map from us, thought we would remain lost. Give the Father the glory because it ain't ours. Waking up the dry bones, yeah, this is a shofar blast like a trombone. Cutting through the atmosphere with a high tone. Look up, it's the sky you should keep your eyes on. 300 trumpets, 300 men, 300 trumpets, 7 priests. We ephods, cry loud, spare not. We ain't gotta fight this war. Father gon' stand up for us. 300 trumpets.
Brethren, I pray thee, that you sound off the alarm. And the earth shake at the armies of Israel, and give praise to the Most High, to know that our redemption is nigh.
You're listening to Sista Talk with RaeShantael, only on Truth Muzic Radio.
All right, shalom, shalom, family. We have our special guest on the phone, Aaliyah Taavi. How you doing, sis?
I'm doing well, sis. Doing well. Shalom, Mishpachah.
All right.
Hope all is well.
Okay, family. So you know what to do. All right, everybody. Let's go ahead and tap in and let me know how she sounds. Is she too low or she's sounding okay, you can hit me up on Messenger or go ahead and send a text over to 662-345-3345 and let me know how she sounds. Also, let me know how I sound because I had a little bit of problems with my equipment today, so if I need to turn myself up, then let me know. Is everything good?
I can hear you really well through my end, but I'm not on the app, so you know.
Okay. Hold on a sec. To myself, I sound a bit low, but I don't want to adjust this mic because I'm afraid it might fall out again. I guess I'm just gonna leave that alone. Okay, hold on. Okay, sister said we both sound a little bit low.
Okay.
All right, so let me try to make some adjustments real quick.
Okay.
All right, let's see here. Turn this up and number 6. Let's do this right here. All right, testing, 1, 2. How do we sound out there, family? How do we sound?
Testing, 1, 2.
All right, testing. Let me know how we sound. Okay, I can hear you clear.
Okay.
You sound good. To me, you do.
Okay, good.
So I guess we should be okay.
Okay.
Okay, she said that's a bit better. So it should be good. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
All praises, all praises. Okay. And on the text sound, okay, and then somebody texted me and said we sound good. So
okay, good.
We're awesome. Praise Yah. All right. Okay, so we're gonna start this over real quick. Shalom, shalom, sis. How are you?
Shalom, Akoti. I'm doing well, hanging in there. Glad to be able to see another day to continue and fight the good fight.
All praises, all praises. Okay. So if you would, just please introduce yourself and tell the people who you are and where you're from.
Okay. Well, my name is Aaliyah Taavi Dauid, and I am from San Antonio, Texas. I was born in Texas and raised in Texas. And I have been walking with the Most High in the truth or the knowledge of the truth for about a good 7 years now. Mm-hmm. And I've been singing all my life since I can remember.
Praise Yah. Mm-hmm. So do you come from a musical family?
I do. My mother was a musician. She played the piano. And she was playing since I want to say about the age of 5. And so my sister and I have one sister. It's just the two of us. And she's older, 4 years older than me. Mm-hmm. And so we just grew up always singing. My mom played the piano in the church. Mm-hmm. And so we were always singing. We were always called to sing. I was the baby, so of course, I just tagged along and did what I was told to do. My sister normally would lead, or my mom would lead, and I would sing backup for them, especially when we went to churches that didn't have a choir or didn't have a piano player. My mom would always step in and play. She could play by ear, anything. So we grew up not just being saturated always in the church, but just at home. We had a piano at home, and so my mom would just play all the time little things that we would sing and dance and do things like that. So very, very musical family that I come from.
Awesome. All right, so How did you learn to speak modern Hebrew?
So how that happened was when we first came into the truth, we actually started just keeping the Sabbath. We didn't know that we were the people or, our identity, but we did know that we were supposed to be keeping the Sabbath. So what I did was we moved from San Antonio to Colorado because I'd gotten really, really sick with a couple different autoimmune diseases that kind of put me in the bed, and I was just down for a really long time with diagnosis saying that I wouldn't be able to do certain things anymore. And so we moved to Colorado for a better way of life, per se. Wanted to live, off grid and just try living healthier. And on that journey, we found a Messianic community. They were Jewish, which, those are different than what we do. However, they did a lot of modern Hebrew there. They did a lot of songs in modern Hebrew, and my husband and I met a couple that had went to Israel. One of them was bloodline Hebrew, and the other one was just, a Gentile or stranger, but they were married, and they were a couple, and they taught biblical Hebrew. So we started taking classes with them, and that's how my journey started learning Hebrew.
Awesome. Yeah, your the first song that I heard that you did was Who Is Like You. That was the first one, Mika Moka.
Yes,
and I love that song. And that was the first song that I heard you sing. And I'm actually gonna play that tonight, but that was the first one. And of course the one I play at the beginning of every show. I love that song as well, as you know, because I play every single show. It's a favorite among many. So,
all praises to the Most High. I love that. Yes, Mika Moka actually came from the sister that was teaching me biblical Hebrew in the Messianic community. That was one of the things that they would sing was Exodus. They would always sing Exodus 15. And I said, wow, that's literally just scripture. So one of the things that the Most High told me to do years back was just sing songs from the scripture. Like just take the words that were already there and sing them. And so what I did was I took the Sefer version of that scripture and I sang it the way that the Most High, showed me how to sing it. And so that's where that Mika Moka came from. And so a lot of people have said to me, oh, I heard that song, or I heard somebody sing it, but it was so different. And I said, yes, exactly. It's just the scripture, but it's just done differently because that's just the way the Most High told me to do it.
Exactly. So when you say you were brought up in the church, which branch of Christianity or denomination did you come out of?
Well, I'm from a really, really small town. I live in San Antonio, but I wasn't in San Antonio my whole life. We're actually from a little small town called Hitchcock, Texas. And I was born in Texas City, Texas. And so we grew up, originally we started off as Baptists. My mom played the piano in the church, and so and my grandfather was a deacon, and just saturated, like I said. And so we were in the Baptist church. But when we moved to San Antonio, my mother got an opportunity to play at a Methodist church. She was looking to play and actually make some money on the side because she was a single mom, had just gone through a divorce and had 2 daughters. So she was working on a job, and then she just needed something on the side. And so an aunt of mine told her that there was a church that was looking for a musician. And so my mom started playing at a little tiny Methodist AME church, African Methodist.
You sound like me.
Church. And so that's how I grew up. I grew up AME, which is really different from a lot of different, denominations. But if you know, you know. So.
I grew up between AME and Baptist because one of my grandmothers was AME, and that's the one we primarily went to, and then the other was Baptist. And then that was my great grandmother was AME. My granny, she was Church of Christ, and then my other grandmother was Baptist. So the only time we would go to Church of Christ was when we we was sleepy and really didn't want to be in church that long, and they got out early. So we'd go there so we can get out like at 11:30 or 12 o'clock. But other than that, we go to one of the other two. So it's like, and they were all like next door to each other. It was a small town, so like they were literally next door to each other. So I know what you're talking about, like going to, but primarily I grew up in AME church.
Yeah, and so it's different. AME it's different. As a matter of fact, in the AME church where I grew up, we did a lot of reading of Deuteronomy 6. Hero Israel. We did that one a lot, and I didn't realize it.
And that's what bothers me now. It's like, we read all of that, like every Sunday. We read the commandments every Sunday.
Yep.
And it's like, why didn't it click?
I don't know. And that's one of the things that I've thought about for years. I was just like, gosh, this has been something that's been there since I was little bitty. This has been there. I've been hearing the commandments my whole life. Even as a child, maybe I didn't know what adultery was, but I was hearing it all the time. I was hearing that. I was hearing don't covet. I was hearing have no idols. I was hearing love the Lord your God. I was hearing that every Sunday.
Word for word.
Word for word. As a matter of fact, someone had to read it, and every once in a while they would choose. It would either be me or another child that would have to go up there and read it. And that was like the opening. You know what I'm saying? That was like part of the order of service.
Yes. Definitely. So it seems like they're all kind of similar. No matter what city or state you're in, they're kind of similar. We had to do that too. And they would pick, I guess they call them altar children or something. And they have two of them. And they had like a little calendar, like, okay, it's my Sunday to do it or something like that.
Yes, you were up to do it. And we helped with everything. I mean, because it was so small, it was very much like home, which is, I can definitely appreciate how the Most High, had his hand on my life for so long, because it was such a small setting and community that when things happened, we were all together, for it and there for each other. And we would be the ones that would give, the Lord's Supper and stuff. I mean, we were in the back giving crackers and doing all that stuff. Like we were having to do that, my sister and I, because it wasn't like a ton of children, because it was so little.
Exactly.
So we just did everything, we went to the first service, we went to Bible study early in the morning, had a little break, then went to regular church, and then sometimes it was second service, or it was somebody else that had a service.
Something that was going on. Always.
Yes. So saturated in it, but all praises.
So I'm thinking that maybe that is also what caused us to question it as we got older, because all of that had been already embedded in us. Yes, absolutely. When I had questions about it, there were things that people couldn't answer, because I think that just in simplicity, the 10 Commandments, you're kind of like, you're supposed to keep the 10 Commandments, of course, but you don't know what the Sabbath day is. And so they don't push that, even when I grew up, they didn't push that Sunday was the Sabbath. They just said that it's time to go to church. It's the day of worship. It's the day we're supposed to do this. But we also did a bunch of other things too. So, after church, we go out to eat, or we did stuff still. So it wasn't like we were necessarily resting or really observing the Sabbath. But I do remember that my mom kind of specifically, there were certain things that we couldn't do that day.
You know, like certain stuff you couldn't watch, certain stuff you couldn't listen to. I mean, my mom didn't really like us to listen to secular music in her car anyway, but there was just certain things. So it was still kind of set apart, but it wasn't like clear, you know? It wasn't clear.
Vague.
Yes, it was very vague. So when I started to question those things, it was because I was kind of forced to be in the bed. Like I said, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis back in 2014. And I don't know, a lot of people may not know that, but it's the autoimmune disease. And a lot of times people will say you're going to develop not being able to walk anymore, or you have to be on medicine for the rest of your life. So they diagnosed me with that. They diagnosed me with rheumatoid arthritis and fibromyalgia. So I was having pain all over my whole body. It caused me to have to leave my job. And so I was kind of stuck in the bed. I was walking on a cane. Like, it's one of those things that you can't physically, like now when people see me, they don't know that there is something that was wrong or that has been wrong. But the Most High is so gracious, because during that time of me being in the bed and stuck, I opened my Bible. All I could do was just read my Bible. And so I just read, and read. And then I just started having questions. I was like, well, what does that mean? It says that we're supposed to keep the Sabbath day, but okay, so what's the Sabbath? And then it started being like, so gradually just kind of started pulling out of the church. We were going to a non-denominational church here in San Antonio. And we just kind of started pulling away from the church because I just had so many questions. So I asked a few elders some questions, and I remember one of the elders told me, there's 613 laws, you can't keep them. And when she said it to me, I was just like, okay, I just was kind of like, okay. But then I had a friend who had been telling me since before I got sick. The Most High has a real good way of humbling us, Yeah. And so before I even got sick, I had a friend that was telling me constantly, well, it was actually a brother of a friend. And he was already walking in Torah. I had no idea, though. I didn't know what he was talking about when he was saying, oh, you're supposed to be keeping commandments. And I was like, what commandments? The 10 commandments? Okay, well, of course you're supposed to do that. Of course you're not supposed to kill. Of course you're not supposed to steal. Of course you're not, right. Those were things. But I didn't know that there was a plethora of feast days and different things that we were supposed to do. So when he said it to me, I kind of rejected him very hard. Like, I was like, you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. Whatever, leave me alone. And then I had another friend that said, hey, I think we might be the people of the Bible. And I said, okay. Like, I just kind of took it in and was just like, well, what does it matter type thing? Because I was just like thinking that, well, the Jews, those are the people. The ones that are the Jewish people, those are the people. That's what I was hearing from Pastor Hagee and all of those end time prophecy pastors and stuff. I was just like, okay, well, of course, those are the people. But as I did more research, I was like, oh, this book is about a particular people. And it's given for us to be able to give back to the world. So I was just like, okay, I wasn't convinced, though, but that we were the people first, but I was convinced that we were supposed to be keeping commandments. That was just something that hit me. I was just like, oh, okay, but we're supposed to be keeping the commandments. It doesn't matter who you are. If you say that you follow Christ, then you're supposed to be keeping the commandments. And so that's where I started. And then as I was continuing to, be ill, and as the Most High, healed me, as I got rid of pork and shrimp and all kinds of, bad foods that he commanded us not to eat, my body did start to heal. And although I still have struggles today, some ups and downs, I'm so much better than I was before, and so that's really how my eyes were so opened, was the blessings that came with the obedience as well. Like, it was just like, felt so good to finally worship him the way that he asked me to, because I really honestly had no idea what that looked like. You go to the altar every Sunday and you're like laying down all your sins only to pick them back up when you leave church. And that for me was just like a revolving door. I just felt like, well, okay, so I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do all these things that the church is telling me that's bad. So, but where's the relationship? And I was just like, I would go to all these women's conferences and do all these things, but it just felt like it was just not penetrating. And so I remember my older sister, she's always been like that light, that guiding light towards like, hope and fellowship and things like that. I was always willing to follow her in that. And I remember she told me that she prayed for me to have a deeper relationship with the Most High. And boom, when I tell you she prayed that, and then that was the deeper just blew my mind that I would be where I am today. 7 years later, trying to walk out the law, statutes, and commandments the best way I can, and loving the Most High the way He commanded us to,
Yeah.
So, it's been a journey. How you learn things, you grow. At first, you have a bunch of zeal.
Yeah.
You know how that goes. You have a bunch of zeal and you want to tell everybody, and you have to learn that sometimes it's not for everybody.
You're right about that.
It's not for everybody, and everybody's not going to receive it, or maybe it's not their time. There's a scripture that talks about, seasons and how, you can plant something, but the Most High, somebody else will come and water it, and the Most High brings the increase. And that's what I had to learn, because sometimes when I would plant the seed and I didn't see the fruit of it, I would get discouraged. Like, gosh, am I crazy? Or, am I hearing wrong? Or why is it just me? And how come nobody else in my family knows this? And then I ended up finding out that there were a few people in my family that knew, but they hadn't really accepted that we were supposed to follow the law, statutes, and commandments. It was like they accepted that we were the people of the book, but not the other part of it,
That goes back to that. They don't want to. And
yes.
I've got a lot in my family that they'll believe, and they'll be like they believe it, but they don't want to let go of that part, so they want to remain ignorant.
Yes.
To the fact.
Yes.
Or make
and I
up
think
excuses.
It's fake. Right. It feels, and I think also too, it just feels like such an unknown space to them. And I get it. Like it feels unknown. It's like, okay, so what do I do with this? So you're telling me my whole life? Because I remember at first I was really angry too. At first, like I felt like I wasn't mad at my mom or anything, because I felt like she gave me what she knew. But just with some of the pastors, because I would have, like, I've asked some pastors, like, well, isn't that, and they say, oh yeah, we know it's the Sabbath day, but it was changed, and they know it was changed, and I'm like, but you read a scripture all the time that says I'm the Most High, I changed not, right? Like that's, so are we, I didn't get that. And so at first I was just mad. Like I was just like, y'all are leading people astray, and it's not,
you sound
it's not
exactly
right.
like me. I was so angry because, and he literally said that. He was like, Sunday is our Sabbath. Yeah, I know the Sabbath is Saturday, but Sunday is our Sabbath. And I'm standing there just looking at him like who gave you permission to do that?
Yes, that's the question. It was just like, well, who gave you this permission to change this? And if you have the knowledge that a man decided to change it, then like there's records showing you this is when it changed, this is why it changed, but you're still refusing to accept that it was changed. And for me, I'm just like, okay, well, the Most High is the one that opens the eyes of the people. So it's just my job to just be a light, to plant the seed. And if it's His will, then, you'll answer the call. But if it's not, then there's nothing I can do about that. Like everybody has to work out their own salvation. With fear and trembling. And so our job is just to be the light. And so that's what I've learned over the years, because it came with a lot of hurt. And I know you know that. Like when you try to give it to people and they don't want it, you're like, why wouldn't you want this goodness? You don't understand the freedom in serving the Messiah the way that it's commanded to do. Like
that is true freedom. It is.
Yeah, like it's like when you understand that you're doing it, maybe it's not perfect because we're not in a perfect position right now, but we have a perfect example. And my thing that I say to people all the time, if it was good enough for the Messiah, it's beyond good enough for me. Exactly. And I know that he kept the commandments. So if I want to follow him, then I'm going to keep the commandments, you know? So but it comes with the choice of believing and not, it's almost like you have to erase all of the preconceived notions that you have about the Bible and go back and read it with a mindset that you are the people. And when you read it, knowing who you are, then you know where you're going. Like, you know what to do then. Like, you know what your purpose really is. Because that was a struggle to know my purpose. I was like, well, what's my purpose? I see all these people talking about purpose and your purpose and your purpose. And I'm like, well, I don't know what my purpose is. My purpose is just to be a wife, to be a mom. What's my purpose? And so when the Most High, you know, put it on my heart to start to sing more, I was shocked because like I said, I always sang in choir at school, and I was always singing. That was a huge part of my life, but I never thought that it would be something that I would do as like giving it back out to the world and back to my people and uplifting the most high in the way that he asked us to. I never imagined that for my life ever. Because like I said, I was just kind of always like a background singer to my sister, and I was kind of like in the shadows with my mom, and you know, so I just never felt that. And it wasn't until coming into the truth that I really found my voice. I actually started off doing spoken word praises. That's how it started. I would call into the network, and I would just read a Psalms and then turn it into a song. And as I would take that Psalms and turn it into a song, I just kept doing it more and more and more and more. And then people would say, like, you should put that on a track. And I just never thought about it. Like, I was just kind of like, oh, well, yeah, sure. You know, like, it was just kind of like one of those, yeah, sure. You know, like, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm not good enough for that. Or like, you know, those things that you just hear in your head, I'm not a professional, I'm not good enough for that. Like, that's not something. And then over the years, the Most High just refined the craft and just put people in my life to help me grow and that believed in me. Judah Black was one of the ones. I think I sang something on the radio network, on the Hebrew Israelite radio network, and he heard it, and Brother Jacob told him, you know, to reach out. And so he sent me the email. We reached out to each other. He talked to my husband, and he just like believed in me and was like, yeah, you can do this. Like, you can do it. I'm going to send you some stuff. And so he would just send me beats, like, because like, he was like, see what you can do with that. And so I just started working on different things, trying different things. And when I did Mika Mocha, that was one of the ones that people were just like, oh, you know, wow, that's beautiful. And that's kind of like how people started to know who I was. And then did Shalom with a Koti Tia out of Tyler, Texas. And Judah Black did that for us too. And so just after that, just, you know, over the years, the Most High just opened doors for me. And, you know, I'm just so thankful for it, sis. I'm so thankful. I'm doing something that I absolutely love. And it's something that, it's hard work. I would never say it's not hard work, but it comes easy because it's given to me by the Most High. So, you know what I'm saying? So it's not like, you know, it's not like this work that's burdensome. Yes, it takes a lot of work. Yes, it takes hours recording and writing things and revamping and praying and asking the Most High to refine my voice or to, you know, do certain things with my voice or to give me the words to say or give me the things to sing, show me what psalms I need to sing. all those different things. Those are places of refinement. And I think when I moved from Colorado to San Antonio, when we joined the assembly that we're with right now, there was a brother that was there that had some children, and they also had the same vision of singing psalms, singing the psalms, turning the psalms into songs, because they're songs, they're psalms, right? So that is what also helped me to grow in making more music from the psalms, is because I was being saturated in that every Shabbat, working with others that had kind of the same vision of to sing things from the psalms. And then the Most High, when we were in Colorado some years back, I think it was 2018, is when he gave me the vision of to do an album called Healing Through the Psalms. And it's taken all this time, 4 years, to get there, but hallelujah. It's almost done. So
praise Yah, and I can't wait to hear it. That's going to be awesome. So awesome.
Praises. Yes.
All praises.
Yes,
So
yes.
we're going to go ahead and let them hear this song, Who Is Like You, Mika Mocha.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
we'll be right back.
All right.
South 71 Music.
Who is like you, O Yah, above the gods? Who is like you, glorious in holiness? Oh, you are fearful in praise, doing wonders, oh Yah. Who is like you, oh Yah? Who is like you, oh Yah, above the God? Who is like you, glorious in holiness? Oh, you are fearful in praise, doing wonders, oh Yah. Who is like you, oh Yah? Mika Mocha Belilam Yahuwah. Mika Mocha Neidaba Kodesh. Oh, Norateli, Lord. Oh, say, Fele. Oh, say, Mika Mocha Belilam Yahuwah. Mika Mocha Neidaba Kodesh. Oh, no, Ratelilot. Oh, se fele. Oh, se fele. Who is like you, O Yah, above the gods? Who is like you, glorious in holiness? Oh, you are fearful in praise, doing wonders, oh Yah. Who is like you, oh Yah.
South 71 Music. South 71 Music.
Peace I leave with you. Peace I give to you. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Peace not as this world I will give to you. Shalom, shalom, shalom. For I am the vine of truth. Abide in me and I in you. Let my unfailing love be true. So when I return, I know you. I'm coming to gather you. For as it is written, I shall do. Guard the law with all you do, so I can mediate for you. Yah so loved the world, he gave his life for you. Shalom, shalom, shalom. So when you eat this bread and drink of this sweet vine, shalom, shalom, shalom. Rejoice and let not your heart be troubled, neither be afraid for me. I give my life freely, so please don't cry for me. I will see you again. Peace I leave with you. Peace I give to you. Shalom, shalom, shalom. I will see you again. I will see you. I'm coming to get you again.
You're listening to Sista Talk with RaeShantael, only on Truth Muzic Radio.
Hallelujah, hallelujah. Now, those both were beautiful songs, Okay, so first we're going to talk about when you first recorded Who Is Like You, aka Mika Mocha, and you got the track. Now, did you have the track? Well, not the track, but when he did that, had you to record that, did you go to St. Louis to record it, or how did you record that with him?
Okay, so I'm so happy you asked that question because it's really funny and it's really cool. So I recorded Mika Mocha in my closet on my phone. And so he told me to go to a quiet place. And so I downloaded one of those voice recorders, and I went inside my closet and I closed the closet and I put headphones in to where I could hear, to like do like different things, to like just kind of like hear what it was. I did that for Shalom, but for Mika Mocha, I did go in my closet and then I just sang it a cappella. And then he took it and then he just did his thing with it and made the sound perfect. And I think I sent it to him. There was a couple times, we went back and forth. Like I would send something, I would say, is this good? He would say, yes, that's good. And I think I sent it to him in pieces. So I would record like 1 minute and then I would send that to him. Then I would record the next verse and send that to him. And so I did it like that. And then he put it together and did and produced it for me. So yeah, I did that in my closet, actually. The first two songs, Mika Mocha and Shalom, were done in my room closet, living off-grid in Colorado.
That is so awesome. Shouts out to Judah Black.
Yes.
And I said St. Louis. I'm sorry, he's not from St. Louis. He's from Kansas City,
That's
Missouri.
Right. That's right. Yes.
KC. Yes. Okay. So with Shalom, now you say you did that with Sister, is it Hadassah?
Yes, Hadassah Yahudit. I couldn't remember what her Hebrew name was because I met her as Tia, right? And so, but yes, I did that with her. And how that happened was Shalom was the part that says Shalom, 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 that part right there. There was a song that we used to sing when we had Easter Sunday, right? And they would say Shalom, Shalom, Shalom. And at the time, I didn't know what Shalom meant when I was singing it. So when I went to John and I read John and how it said, peace I leave with you, peace I give to you, not the peace that, of this world,
right.
But, so when I read that, I was like, oh my gosh. And when he said that he was divine and all of those things, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the Shalom. This is the peace right here. And so that's where the peace I give to you, peace I give to you, peace I, all that. That's where I got that from. It's because it came from the scripture, but I'd heard a song back when I was younger that said Shalom. And so I was like, oh, so I took it and then I just wrote the rest like just took pieces from the scriptures. And just that's what the song is. It's literally just words from the scripture that I took from different scripts, from John, the one that talks about, you know, for him being the mediator, from Hebrews. So I just took different places from the scripture, and that's how the song came about. And so when I was singing it, Hadassah, she said, you should do this with it, and you should do that with it. She was telling me different stuff I should do with my voice, like ad-libs. And I was like, well, you should just do it with me. And so she was like, okay, are you sure? And I said, I'm positive. Let's do it together. And so we actually were supposed to perform that song together at the Hebrew Israelite Award show in 2018. But I ended up having to leave early, so I wasn't able to perform. But I did it in my closet. I recorded, and I believe she did it at her house too on her phone. And we sent it to Judah Black, and then he put everything together for us.
Awesome. Okay. So what other artists have you collaborated with?
Well, I've done things with Charmin C, which she does, you know, One Love. Her yes, beautiful song.
It is.
And she's actually the person who I do like my I guess you would say like my label under So Fresh Records. She does. I go to her, and she has a little studio, and that's where I do my recordings now.
Oh, okay.
And so we actually assemble together. She's my big sister, and so I've done several things. I'm actually in the works of doing. I have one of the songs that I did. She's on it with me. Actually, that's going to come out on the new album. And then I also have another sister. Her name is Lydia, and she's a really, really good friend of mine that also assembles with me. And she actually speaks French. And so on one of the songs, it's going to be really nice because we have Hebrew, French, and English.
Awesome.
And so I've done some things with her. She's going to be on several of the songs doing some background. I've done some things with a brother named Aaliyah. And just like, actually, I've done quite a few things for him. Another brother named Meshach. Another brother named JP, several. And I'm in the works of doing some things. I've been in touch with Yafa Q, with her to do something together. Oh, I totally forgot. I did a sister, where we put like a collaboration together, and that was with Navashavi. And so we did something together, and where each sister sang a part and came in, and we did like a little collabo before as well. So I've done some things with a couple of different. It was really cool. I'm actually surprised I don't hear it often, but I love it.
Where do I get it or hear it?
You know, I think she has it on her SoundCloud. I have to reach out to her and ask her, but I believe that she has it on her SoundCloud, or it's somewhere, because I heard it when I was listening to DJ Taz. Is that? Yes.
Like on Saturday or Monday, probably.
Yes, on Saturday.
Okay.
When I was listening to him, I heard it come on. I heard the beat come on, and it was doing the sisters and stuff. And so it was actually quite a few of us that were on that. On that one, I think about 7 or 8 sisters, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm about to get a hold of that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing some more things. Like I said, also have another one that I'm supposed to be doing with Simca. And she's been doing some great work. Actually, let me tell you how I know this sister. She's great. I met her at my first Passover in Fresno, California, at the Ark, when the Ark was a big community at the time. So we traveled from Colorado to California, and we went, and I was baptized. We went to Avila Beach, and we were baptized. So I met her mom, who goes by something totally different now. I knew her by Akoti Penny at the time. And so her mom, I met them there. And so we've known each other since that time. And at the time, she wasn't doing music or putting anything out there. And then I've just watched her grow and put out all these things. Now I'm just like, it's so beautiful to me because like I remember just us just first, coming into this. Just knowing the Shema, just singing the Shema,
Right.
and then like now how far she's come, I'm just so proud of her. So we're going to do something together as well. She has been trying to get settled doing some things, but also have something in the works to do some music with her as well. So yeah, it's a couple artists that, I knew before they really blossomed and started really making music, and it's just so beautiful to see.
It
and
is
just awesome to see people grow.
The growth, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
yeah. I love that.
Me too.
Definitely. Yeah. And we're gonna play the song The Promise featuring Sharman.
Okay, yes.
So we're gonna get into that right now. So here we go, family. This is called The Promise.
Hey, hey, waited for so long on a request they pray to Yah. Is this a test? We will stand on His word. He said I wouldn't leave you nor forsake you, but after so long they ask, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? What can I do? And here's what He said. You'll be a witness to all of my promises that I will keep between you and me forever. Just do what I say. Hey, you'll be a witness to all of my promises that I will keep between you and me forever. Just do what I say. Hey, now here's the next part. They are waiting on Yah after heartache and pain. Their faith remained the same. We will stay on His word. Yahuwah made it so clear, submit with no fear. But after so long, they ask, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? What can I do? And here's what He said. You'll be a witness to all of my promises that I will keep between you and me forever. Just do what I say. Hey, you'll be a witness to all of my promises that I will keep between you and me forever. Just do what I say. Hey,
He's working.
fast forward to now and look how Yah kept His promises and He worked it out. We will stand on His word. Yahuwah loved us so dear, He made it so clear. But after so long, they ask, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? What can I do? And here's what Yah said. You'll be a witness to all of my promises that I will keep between you and me forever. Just do what I
Ooh, I was drowning in this ocean pool we call life, not knowing that the Torah would be more than a life jacket. They granted me with a sense of purpose, focus on the wrong moves, but the Torah got a brew walking on surface. So I jumped back in the boat, back to the mission, using different bait, you know how it is when you're fishing. Luke 2:49 already know I'm about my father's business, cause he already told me
You'll be a witness to all of my promises that I will keep between you and me forever. Just do what I say. Hey, you'll be a witness to all of my promises that I will keep between you and me forever. Just do what I say.
My sister, I'm my sister's keeper. Time to come together now. Lioness is on the prowl. We watch, we pray. Now it's time to slay all demons and wicked forces. We see how y'all metamorph. When you come against one, you come against all. You best believe we have full armor on, swords ready to draw. So if you feeling bold, you need to know Yah has our back, we got you cornered. Time for you to go.
We are the Akayot. Now, do you know what that means? It means that we sisters, we from different misters, but we all on the same team. We keep it to the culture. We are the virtuous ones, and my sister's keeper better know it. Raise you up before you know it. But don't be fooled, we are warrior queens. With Yahuwah on our side, who gon' raise up on this team? Get it.
Lahaya, I love my sisters. When I look at you, I see myself. You my co-T for life. We a nation, we a team. The enemy think he defeat us. Lies and deceptions, but we on our post day and night. Modest apparel, yeah, that's right. Pray without cease, stomp on these demons' heads. They afraid of you and me. We got the armor of Elohim. Who can defeat us? We a team.
Praying for my sis on the streets. Praying the Most High make free. Obligated to rebuke her ways. Hope you hear what wisdom had to say. My sister, whether it's truth or not, I'm here for you to help guide you right. Up to the Most High through the love of Christ. Know that your future with him is bright. Gotta put the whole armor Elohim on and fight. These demons will try to attack blind sight through the wicked men who will try to entice. Be still when Yah to send you right, God. Take heed to this wise advice. I'm praying for you, I'm rooting for you. I am my sister's keeper. My love is true, Christ's love is true.
If you doing the will of Elohim, then you my sister. Picture this, we united, no filter. Set apart. Frame of mind, asking if I got my flash on. Nah, that's how we shine. Melanin drip, it's by design. Step with wrong spirit, get thee behind. She rap, she sing, she produce. Who knew? I pray, I slay, I put on for she bruise.
You PQ, yeah. Creaming at you with the big fro, curly fro, big nose, all shades of brown. They think you miss attitude, but I see through you like a window. Throwing in your side, but you're still a rose. Trying to get an inch, but the lynch got to feeling real tense, past present-ish. With family matters and your wins low. Losing the battle like it's 1-0. Ready for the war, we like 10-fold. Tugging at your soul, don't give them a rope. Yeah, you drop it real low. Question is, how low will you go? You're drinking this wine, we're calling her low. Giving us the boo Babylon Monroe. Enough of that, they can say you this and that. Nigga, stick to your mind like thunder tag. Run a game, don't let them distract. Daughter of Zion, you like click, clack, boom, you the bomb, girl. You might have gave it up first, it's okay. Here to tell you you're second to none, girl. I'm in your corner when you don't believe you're heaven's design, girl.
I pray that we operate in sisterhood. Walking in the Ruach, treat each other like sisters should. Build each other up and never tear each other down. Encouraging one another, don't let no one steal your crown. If you don't love your sister, then you don't love Elohim. Walk in darkness, you won't make it to the kingdom Shemayim. I am my sister's keeper, my Koti's my backup, but it's a shame if you should fall and have no one to help you up.
Is a beginning of wisdom. And the knowledge of the holy is understanding, understanding. Give instruction to a wise man, and he will yet be wiser. Teach a just man, and he will increase his learning, his learning. Because the fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the holy is understanding, understanding. We give thanks to Yahuwah. We stand together on his word forever.
Our quotes keep the mess with her unto you woe. Yah hears our prayers when we bend knee down to the flow. That's righteous reward. Tell them we ready to roll. Tell them we won't take no more. Come through the door. That's how Mashiach the Dalit, if you did not already know. Pray for faith the size of mustard seed, so we can walk with Yahusha up on that sea. Divide scripture rightfully. We got the keys.
My sister, my companion and friend, thank you for your love that never ends. Thank you for the laughs, correction, and tears. Our mother rejoices. We became gems over the years. I praise Yah for you, our friendship and faith, a bond stitched in love we can never fake. Iron sharpens iron as we get refined to Yah's glory. My sister, I got you. You don't have to worry.
You're listening to Sista Talk with RaeShantael, only on Truth Muzic Radio.
Shout out to Eliana Toda for the Sisters Keeper Cypher track. Hallelujah. Thank you so much for sending it. I appreciate that. Good looking out.
Yes. All praises.
All praises, all praises. You was on point with that one. Thank you, thank you. All right. All right, so we're gonna get right back into the interview. So what you think of the track? You finally got a chance to hear it after so long.
Man, that is one of those tracks that for me, it was just so empowering for sisters. I think that in this faith, a lot of times we lose the connection of that sisterhood and to understand truly what a sister is. And for me, the whole time that, I've been walking, trying my best to walk in Torah, that's been one of the most important things. It's not the most important thing, of course, but one of the most important things was to understand what true sisterhood was. Why am I your sister? Like, what makes you my sister? And as a sister, if I call you my sister, what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to be my sister's keeper. And that looks like sometimes, crying with you. Sometimes it may come with rebuking. Sometimes it may come with just walking something out with that sister, tarrying with her, being long-suffering, protecting her from things. If I see you going down the wrong direction, saying something, not just being like, well, that's your business. Right. That attitude that the world gives is not biblically sound of what a sister is. And the word occult comes from the root word ak, which is brother or brethren, right? So that word occult, when you say occultee, that means that it's mine, it's possessive, meaning you're my sister. When I say occultee is meaning my sister, right? So when you look at those words and you look at what it means, a sister is something that's important, because the Aleph, you look at the Hebrew characters and what the Aleph means. It's the strength and what's first. And then, you look at the Chet, and, that's something that protects you. It surrounds you. It guards you, it blocks something off, right? And then you have the Vav, which is something that connects you, that is something that that secures you. And then you have the Tav, which is the covenant or the mark or the sign. So when you put those things together to see what an okoti is, you know, you really understand that, man, I'm supposed to be a strong leader, you know, somebody with a force behind them, a strong leader, you know, leading from what the Most High said, and I'm supposed to protect and fence in my sister, guard her from things, and I'm supposed to always secure her, keeping her secure to the covenant, which we know that's, you know, keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. So yeah, it's been a really important thing for me. I love my sisters. I've always been what my husband always says, gosh, you're such a woman's woman, you know?
Hallelujah. And speaking of woman, oh man, you've heard about the new Cambridge definition of woman, have you not?
I have not.
Oh goodness. So they've changed the definition of woman, and woman no longer means woman. If you catch my drift. Yes, they've changed the definition. So,
wow.
Yeah, if you go look up the definition of woman, it has a totally different meaning. And
oh my gosh. I did not know. When did they change this?
It's just been recently, like in the past few days or maybe the past week, but yeah.
Oh my gosh. Is it because of all the trans stuff?
Yes,
or
yes,
okay.
It is. So,
I wondered.
Yeah. With that being said, I mean, what does it mean to be a Hebrew woman to you? What? Because we can no longer say woman.
Yeah, we can no longer just say woman, obviously, you know.
So an Isha.
An Isha, you know, yes. You know, like I was saying before, with the olive, you know, Isha, you have the olive, you have the shin, and then you have the hay. And so when I look at that, for me, you know, it was one thing for me to understand what Isha was, you know, for me, just as a woman, but I think it's important as Hebrew women to understand what a woman is according to the scriptures, so that we can then adjust ourselves to what the Yah's definition of who we should be, because we should model that. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, the world's changing definition of what a woman is. But for me, what I've learned and what I continue to try to be is understanding that, you know, a woman is a source, a strength, you know, of something that like separates. It's something that, you know, separates a thing, or that consumes. You know, women can consume you. You know, it can be a bad thing as a woman. You can consume a man, or you can consume a person, because the Most High built us with so many different things, and one of the things he built us with was intuition. You know, they always talk about that woman's intuition. Well, that's something that was built inside of the woman to have that. And then you have the hay, which also is something that's revealed. So you have the strength of, you know, something that consumes you, that's revealed. And so I'm just like, wow, you know, for me, woman is someone who is supportive, that is that pillar, you know, of rest. And I know as a woman, it's very hard in this today's society to be all those things, because you have so many different demands that they didn't have before in the scriptures. Not that they were just sitting around, but it's just different now. We have the curses, you know, those curses. And so as a woman, for me, it's someone who really, and especially as being a wife, a woman, for me, your job, I mean, it is like part of that is you were created to be a helpmeet, you know? So when you are not a helpmeet, it's something that's missing. It's a piece of you that you were designed to be. So the very essence of a woman is to be a helpmeet, is to be that pillar of rest, is to be wisdom, is to exercise things in wisdom, to raise your children. If you don't have children, to help your community. You know, those are all things for me of what a woman is. It's the very essence of what Yah says we are, not what the world says we are. So we are supposed to be, although we have become very callous because as Hebrew women, we've had so much abuse and slavery and all those things that kind of made us hard. You know, brings out this masculine spirit that we can possess, and so it makes us rough around the edges, and that's not how the Most High designed us. You know, it says in the scriptures, the daughters of Zion's feet didn't even touch the ground. That's how, you know, dainty and delicate that we were as women. We were precious and crowned and jeweled and beautiful. And he said that when those curses came, that these things were going to go away. And the only way to get back to that is to follow the law, statutes, and commandments. So for me, a woman is just the very essence of what the script says, which is being a helpmeet. That's, you know, and that's what I try to do. I don't work. I stay home with the children. We homeschool. Try to be there for my husband. He works like kind of late sometimes, and so try to support like things and dreams that he has. And as a woman too, you are called to support what the mission of the home. You know, the husband gives a mission, or he has I guess you would kind of say, like a mission. You know, you support the mission, you support the dream. So if he has a goal to do a thing, then my job is to be like, well, what can I do to help you to achieve that goal? You need me to take pictures. Like, I'll give you a good one. My husband, for years, he has wanted to breed South African Boer bulls. He loves the breed. They're good for farming and with animals, and we have one. And so he's wanted to do that for years. So me being supportive, I'm like, okay, well, how can I do that? That's like, okay, well, I can take some pictures of the dog. I can, you know, post little things that he does, little videos, and just try to like do that while he's at work, because he's working to try to work for himself. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's working outside the home right now, but eventually he wants to be able to have his own brand and to be able to have his own theme. And then he also does like where he sells like snacks, like from different countries. He calls them like exotic snacks. So he sells like all these things. So my job is, when he does those things, if he posts, you know, the snacks or the new things that he has, then I can just repost it, or I send it. Sometimes it's just those little small things that, you know, they appreciate, that they're just like, oh, thanks, you know, because sometimes if you already like kind of have a voice, or like me, Facebook, thousands of friends that I don't even know, it's just no, that goes with Facebook, but you can kind of get more things out there. And because I'm the more talkative one, my husband's not as talkative as I am. He says I'm like the life of the party, you know. So I'm able to do those types of things. So just doing that for him, you know, doing those types of things for your family, and taking good care and teaching your children Torah. It's our job as the mom, as the mother, to give the Torah to our children. And so that's, you know, that's what I try to do. You know, I don't always get it right, because none of us do, right? And I still have pieces of me that have to be cleansed and healed and things like that. But that's all part of the journey. You know, that's all part of what the Most High is doing. So I've learned to be patient with myself, to read. I read a lot more for knowledge of the things that maybe the lies that we were taught that we have to kind of erase from our brain. Like, it's okay. Like, being submissive is not hard, but it's okay to be happy and be submissive. You know what I'm saying? Like, kind of having joy in submission, because you can submit all day. You can be like, they say something and you're like, yeah, all right, I submit. Yeah, sure. Okay, yeah. You can do that all day, but it's the attitude with it.
Exactly.
That, you know what I'm saying? That we have to work on. You know, it's the attitude about it. You know, so that's the thing that we have to continuously work on, I believe, as women, as Hebrew women, is to work on those things. And it is hard. It is difficult. It's not easy. I don't care how soft you are, how great your husband is, there's always going to be that piece of you that makes you have to work at it. And then at certain points you may get to where it's kind of like a well-oiled machine between you and your husband, but it's still going to always be challenges, because it wouldn't be life if there wasn't. It wouldn't be the narrow path if it didn't have troublesome things. Right. You know what I'm saying? So that's the mindset that I try to keep, is, you know, you're not going to get everything right all the time, but when you don't, be humble enough to apologize, be humble enough to admit, and be humble enough to work on the things that you know can hold you back from being your best you. My focus these last months really has been, how can I be the best me for my husband, for my children, for my sisters, for my brothers, and most of all, for the Most High. Mm-hmm. And that comes with stripping some things, and some mindsets and behaviors have to be cleansed and rearranged, and you just have to be pliable. We have to be pliable for the Most High to be able to mold us into what He wants us to be, and not what we think we should be. So yeah, that's my idea of what a woman is.
Now, do you ever have any outside family members or relatives who try to interfere in your marriage or give you advice about how you should be in your marriage with your husband or something?
I'm sorry, I'm just laughing because of course I do. Of course I do. You know, you know, they'll ask questions. For instance, I'll give you a good example, right? Mm-hmm. I'll get a phone call maybe, and they'll say, hey, there's this bed that you should buy. I found it somewhere and you should get it. It'll be good for your house. It'll make your house look nice, or, you know, whatever. And my answer is always, well, let me check with my husband. And that kind of rubs people the wrong way. And they'll say, well, don't you need it? But don't you need it? And I'm like, no, it's a purchase. It's a purchase. It's not like buying some chips from the store. You're asking me to bring something, a piece of furniture that could cost hundreds of dollars into my house, and to not ask my husband to just do it. Now, of course, back in the day, of course I did that. Of course, you know, I would just be like, ooh, I like that table, I'm gonna go buy it. Mm-hmm. Or I like this, I'm gonna get it. Of course I did things like that because I was like, well, I work a job, I have my money, I should be able to spend it, you know, type thing. But as I learned, that's not the way. So yes, people get really irritated when you say, well, I have to ask my husband first, or let me check with my husband first. They're like, you don't have your own mind, you're not your own person. And it's like, actually, I'm not. The Bible says that I'm a prized possession, which means that, of course, I should be taken care of very well by my husband, but there's still order to it, and I still do have to ask him. And there's still times that I trip up, like maybe I want to go somewhere or do something, and I might just make a plan ahead of time and forget, like, oh, I probably need to check, even though he's working or he's doing something and we don't have any plans, out of respect, you know, I need to bring that to him and say that. And so, yeah, of course I have people that are like, so you have to do that? Yeah. And it's like, yeah, I do. Well, that's like, they think it's bondage. To them, it feels like bondage, you know, but for me, it doesn't. It doesn't feel like bondage. It just feels like protection. Because if he knows where I'm at all the time, that's protection, you know? So yeah, I do. I get that. And I lost a lot of friends coming into the truth. Like growing up, I've always had friends, lots of them. Like that was my thing. I had friends. And when I came into this truth, I lost a lot of friends because they didn't understand that way of life. They didn't understand that, yeah, I can't do those things anymore. No, I don't dress like that anymore. Mm-hmm. No, I can't talk to him like that. No, I can't say that to my husband. You know, there's some things I wouldn't have said anyway, just because that's just not who I am. That's not how I was raised. But there were some things that you just kind of have that independent woman attitude because you work and you do things, and so therefore you feel entitled to be able to do what you want to do. Mm-hmm. But that's not how the Most High has things. We really have to check that spirit and be like, okay, well, my husband, he is the head. He is the head of this household. Regardless of how imperfect he may be at times, the Most High doesn't do anything by mistake.
Right.
And so he knows who you need. You might have a husband that might be a little stronger in certain areas because you need that. Like, you need that strength. You may be the type of woman that if you had a husband that was more lax about situations, that you might take advantage of that. Yeah. So the Most High knows exactly the type of husband and protector that we need. And so I've really learned that, and people don't like it. I mean, I'm even talking really like Christians. I'm talking like, even if you as a Christian person, they may kind of frown upon it, even though they understand that the husband is supposed to be, because it's so female dominated. At least the church that I was in, the last church I was in, the non-denominational church, was very female dominated. It was a lot of women. The women to man ratio was like crazy. So the women did a lot of the planning and running things and stuff. And you notice in the Hebrew community, it's actually the opposite. Mm-hmm. The men are the ones that plan the stuff. Yes. You know what I'm saying? They plan it. So for instance, we have a feast day, right? They're going to tell us when, okay, the feast day is here and everything, but they might assign us. They might say, hey, you, 2 women, can you go find a place for us to do that? You know what I'm saying? Exactly. So you may do it. You may be the one that does it, but the order is going to come from your husband or from the head, Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that. And it's not just females who may turn their nose up about it. No. I had it actually was a pastor who got irritated with me because he requested something, and I said, well, I need to ask my husband if it's okay. And he's like, why you gotta ask your husband? I was like, well, he's the head over me. He's like, no, Christ's the head over you. I was like, well, yeah, Christ is the head over me, but Christ is the head over him, and he's the head over me. That's the order,
That's right.
And
that's right.
He was very upset, and he had all kinds of attitudes about it. And it's like, well, you gotta understand this. You're a pastor.
Mm-hmm. You're a pastor. Right. So, and that's the thing. That's the thing what you're saying. It's a pastor, right? Mm-hmm. And isn't the very essence of a pastor supposed to be one that guards the sheep, right?
Exactly.
So he should understand that. Like, he should understand that, because in church they do it all the time. Like, but if you can't just do anything in the church without asking the pastor, mm-hmm. So why would you then think that about a woman and her husband? The scripture is very clear that every woman is to submit to her own husband. Right. So you can be a pastor all day, but you're not. My priest, the priest of my home, is my husband.
Right.
So I think that I think the mindset of a pastor sometimes is they're the pastor, and they're the pastor of your husband. Let's just say you're at a church, right? They're the pastor of your husband. Yeah. Therefore, they can give you orders because they're over your husband, mm-hmm. versus it being like, I'm going to talk to your husband if there's a request, and then your husband is going to come to you. They just kind of jump the line and just say, well, your husband's under me, therefore you're under me. Yes. So
I think
I can tell you what to do.
I've seen that a lot. I've seen that a lot in the church when I was still in the church. I saw that a lot. And a lot of the men, I don't know if they were weak-minded or if they were just following because they didn't know any better. I'm not sure what it was, but they allowed it. Like, the pastor would be directly communicating with the woman and giving her instructions rather than going to the man and telling him so that he could tell her or give her the instructions. You know what I'm saying? It was out of order. You know?
Completely out of order.
And then it's like she would she would be more like, well, I'm gonna tell pastor, like she telling on him. It was all out of order.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's like, I'm gonna go and tell the pastor. I think they kind of almost even take advantage of the whole elder situation too, because, you know, they have all these offices. And so then it's like, you know, okay, well, but I'm like in the role of a deacon, or I'm in the role of an elder, so therefore things need to come through me. No. I have to submit to my own husband. Right. And if you have a request for me, then it should go through my husband. And people, and it's not being unpractical either. I think when people hear us say things like that, they think it's unpractical. Like, for instance, they think, oh, so you can't go to the grocery store? Like, I mean, they think things like that. But nobody's saying that. Exactly. We're talking about life choices. Like, we're talking about, I'm about to leave and go out of town with my friends. I need to ask. Or somebody requests for me to do something, right? For instance, like with music, if it's working with a brother, 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna have my husband in the chat, right? I'm gonna have him in the email. Even with Judah Black, he asked permission from my husband if he could work with me. So there was always an order to it, to where it needs to be permission. You can't just jump the gun and just be like, oh, well, I'm going to work with you. You have to have it and be like, no, it's those things like that. We're not talking about practical things like washing the dishes, or, you know, like,
can I go wash the dishes?
Right. Like, I mean, that's just insane. You know, can I buy chicken from the, like, I mean, this is stuff that, you know, you should have some type of I guess you would say schedule, or some type of order in your home that your husband knows for the day-to-day things that you do. You know, it's maybe that you're doing laundry, or that you're doing something like this, for instance, right? Like, my husband knew that I was doing this. I didn't just jump on here and do it. You know, my husband knew. He's aware that this is something that I was doing. And if he had said no, then I would have had to tell you no. Exactly. You know, those are things. If he had said, no, I don't think that's wise, or I don't think that's smart, I don't want you out there like that, or, you know, I don't want you to do a video, or I don't want, you know, if those were his things, I might ask him. And it's not a problem with asking questions either. I think that when people hear submission, that they forget that submission doesn't mean that you won't have questions. If my husband says something, I might have a question. Like, I might be like, oh, well, why? Or, you know, like, I might ask. Like, I might say, well, is there a reason why I have to do that? Or is there a reason why I can't? And then he's going to 9 times out of 10 give me an answer. He's going to say, well, because, you know, I really don't want you to do this because I just don't have a good feeling about it. Or, you know, the Ruach is just telling me no, or no, that's not safe. Like, he's going to give a reason. If you have a good husband that is under Mashiach, right? He's going to give you a reason. Like, he's going to tell you, he's not going to just lord over you and just be like you a servant. This is different. Servitude and submission. You know, and so it's kind of like, yes, you serve your husband, but you're submitted to him, but you want to be submitted like with your whole heart. In a good way. You don't want it to turn into what's the word, not rebellion, but kind of like resentment. You know what I'm saying, where you resent being a woman because of feeling like you're just bossed around all the time. You can't be in that mindset, because you'll be miserable, and the world will tell you, like you said, the world will tell you that it's not okay, like that, the way that you live. Why should you have to ask your husband to buy plates? Or why should you have to ask your husband well, because we have a budget. And because he might have that money slotted for something else. So no, I can't just spend $200 and do this. Even with donations and stuff, somebody asks me for something, right? Then I'll say, I need to ask my husband first.
Somebody had messaged me about some donations, and I was like, okay, I'll get this over to my husband and see what he says. You know, I just can't, you know, send over money to you. You know, I gotta check with him first.
That's right. That's right. And like I said, you can't turn it into like, if I need to buy soap, I'm gonna buy soap.
Right.
If I need to, you know what I'm saying? It's
And
not
even
those
then,
things.
I would still tell him, hey, I'm gonna go to the store. We need some supplies for the house. You know,
I'm not gonna just take off and not tell him where I'm going.
And you know
what I'm saying?
The same people who complain or want to turn their nose up at it are going to be the same ones who are going to point the finger if something happens to you and try to blame your husband.
That's right. That's right. They're going to be like, you should have been protecting her. Yeah. That's your job as a man. You're supposed to look out for her. Exactly. Why didn't you know where your wife was?
Exactly. Why didn't you know where she was? Exactly.
Yes, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just a form of an extra layer of protection. Yes, we have the Most High, and He covers us. Angels guard us and take good care of us always. But He did put these men in our lives to look out for us. And sometimes as women, we are so loving and our hearts are so open that we can fall victim to things because we are so loving and because we may be open to stuff. And for instance, my husband, he's the type that he's gonna look at something and discern it and be like, no. Like he's that type because he knows that I'm so open. So there has to be a balance. That's another thing I want to say is there has to be balance. If you don't have balance, it's going to be off. The Most High is an Elohim of balance. Like He's not an unbalanced. Everything is just. Everything is true. You know, everything that He does is pure. And so if there's not a balance of what you're doing and how you're operating, then naturally you're going to be miserable. You're just going to be miserable in your role. And so to encourage sisters, I always just try to say, you know, yeah, you can tell me all about the things that, you know, you're going through and all about how your husband is this or that or how he's this, but you need to look at yourself. You need to look in the mirror and you need to see what the things you need to change about yourself. And that's one of the things that I have a conversation, my friend Lydia and I always talk. I mean, we talk every day and we always have conversations, these deep conversations about just life randomly. And that was one of the conversations that we talked about was self-examination and how it's important for us to examine ourselves daily, like daily. It's not if you think you've arrived, you're finished. Like you're not even nobody has arrived. We all have work to do. And so we should always be examining ourselves to see, are we in the faith? To see, are we being obedient? To see, are we being submissive? You know, and then tweak those little things, you know, and just don't worry about what the world is telling you. As a matter of fact, one of the songs that I'm doing that will be on the album kind of talks about that, about how the world pushes, you know, feminism and wants us to be these independent women, depend on the government, push the men out of our homes to receive whatever that it is that the government's going to give us, and that we can live a better life minus the man. And they kind of almost set that up, sis, you know, to where it's kind of like, well, you can do better without him. And that's just a false sense of reality. It is. Definitely. It's a false sense, you know? So I totally feel you on the order. And yeah, it's one of those things that we as sisters, as Hebrew sisters, have to battle daily. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We really do. We really do. And some, it may come easier to you than others, but you have to know those things about yourself. Really get to know yourself and be self-aware. That's something that I've learned. Be self-aware. Like, listen to yourself. Listen to your body. Listen to what are you saying about yourself? How do you speak about yourself? Are you kind to yourself? Like, all of those things, because that's going to reflect your relationship with your husband. You know, you're a part of him. Y'all are one flesh. So if you're going through things, he's going to go through things. Right. You know what I'm saying? Or vice versa. You know, so it's very important to focus on those things. And I've actually been a wife since I was 19 years old, believe it or not.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yes, awesome. I got married very early. I was 19 years old and got married. My first husband passed away. And so I was a widow And my husband that I have now, who I love so much, I've known him since I was in 7th grade. And he's always been just like a good friend and loving and kind to me and just treated me with the utmost respect. And so when I lost my husband, I became a widow and had 2 small, tiny children. He just stepped in and just took over and has been rolling with me and riding with me ever since. And so we've been married for 13 years this year. Yeah, so it's a beautiful story. You know, it's quite a story that we have. Our testimony is our testimony to help others that may come to these, you know, things, these paths in life that you might lose a husband or lose a wife or, you know, lose a child or whatever. And the Most High always, nothing catches him by surprise. And so that's always my thing to people, like, trust the Most High. He's got it. You know, he's in control. We're part of his story. He's not part of our story. We're part of his story.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Hallelujah. Yes. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
So what's the most important thing about being a true rib to your ish?
Well, you know, the most important thing for me is to truly be that helpmeet. Like, I don't even think people understand the grasp of that. Like, even if it's just like writing a letter to encourage them, because our men, most of them have to go out here in this world and they have to deal with stuff that we don't have to deal with. And so it's kind of like being that support person. I'm not always a pillar of rest because sometimes, you know, I might be going through something, right? But my most important thing to him is to be there for him, like for real. Like, be there for him physically, be there for him spiritually, to pray for him. Like, if you're not praying for your husband, it's already bad. Like, you're already on the wrong track. Like, they need prayer daily because they have to battle things that we just don't. And so my most important thing is to just be a helpmeet to him, like really be there for him, like to be able to listen, you know, when he's going through something, and to kind of like also be in tune with him too. That's one of my most important things, like to be able to read like where he's at. You understand what I'm saying? Like, if he comes in from work and he's had a bad day or something, like, I can't take it personally.
Right.
You know, like those types of things. Like, don't make it worse on them. Like, don't be a burden to them, like adding extra stuff. And have I done those things before? Of course. But I've learned to, like, sometimes you just kind of have to be quiet. Sometimes you just have to be like that rest or that encouragement, to just be like, when they have a bad day, to say like, it's going to be okay. The Most High's got it. Or send them a scripture, or just pray for them. Like, I've literally seen those things work. So for me, the most important thing is just being a helpmeet. Help them in whatever that it is that they need help with. And of course, if you have a man of the Most High, it's always going to be righteous. You know, they're not going to ask you to do unrighteous things. So, you know, just, it's important to trust who the Most High gave you. You know?
That's beautifully spoken. Beautiful.
All praises to the Most High.
Okay, and my last question on this topic is, with your children, you said that you homeschool them.
I do.
How do you keep them from total brainwash?
Man, let me tell you, that has actually been something that's been something that's taken years. I'm gonna tell you, because when I first heard the Most High tell me to pull the children out of school, it was my son. He's 11 now. He was kindergarten. He was just going to kindergarten. And the Most High told me to pull them out of school. And I was just like, I had a friend that was a homeschooler. She was kind of like, she was like one of those end time Christians, right? Like, she had kind of walked away from the church, but she was all about trying to be, you know, in a righteous state of mind. You know, she had already said, like, you're not supposed to be doing Christmas trees and and Easter eggs. You know, she was that friend that already kind of was on that side. And she was homeschooling her children through a program. And I just thought, like, I'm going to be honest with you. I was like, I don't have the patience for that. Like, I just thought, like, I don't have the patience for that. I'm going to yell at my children. Like, I'm going to be mad. Like, I have illnesses. I have things that's wrong with my body that I can't do this, right? And the Most High was like, yes, you can. And I'm telling you to do it. And so I was just like, at the time, like I said, we weren't even in the truth quite yet. It was just kind of like, I heard take them out of school. So I was like, okay. So I removed them out of school. We moved to Colorado, and that was our transition. They had a homeschooling program in Colorado. They're a very, pro homeschool state. Now, I don't know if that's because of the shootings that they've had in schools or what the reasoning behind it is, but they're very supportive, that state, in homeschool. So when I moved there, it just made it easy to transition into homeschooling. And so we did a program there and did the children, for a couple years there. And we moved back to Texas. And the worst mistake that I ever made in my life was to put them in public school for 1 year. Let me tell you, that 1 year of public school, because my oldest child is 19 years old. And so he had about 6 years of public school. Like, I think it was up to 6th grade, and then 7th grade is when we pulled him out. And so he had some time in public school, but his personality, he wasn't easily influenced. That one is real strong, right? So it's like you kind of have to know the personality of your child too. And he wasn't swayed like into like doing stuff or getting into things that they were doing. Like, he wasn't doing that stuff. So I really didn't have an issue with that. But my middle child, the girl, I have one girl in the middle, and that one, she was like, she's kind of like me. She's kind of like the life of the party, but she has, she's a little bit more reserved, a little bit more, to herself. And when you have a personality like that, she didn't have like a lot of friends. So when she did make friends, they were a big influence over her. And so that year of her being in that public school, it was awful. I mean, the stuff that they push on your children, I was constantly having to counter things with her. They wanted her to take some kind of, education or something, sex education or something. And I was like, no, like, you have to sign a permission slip. And she was like, I'm going to be the only one that's not in there. I was like, so what? You're not. I don't need them to teach you anything like that. I'll teach that to you. That's my job as a mom, to teach those things to you. I'll tell you about it. You don't need to take this class, because they're going to try to tell you that this gender can be that gender and it's okay and all this stuff. And then my child, the youngest boy, that year, it just wasn't good for him. He saw that they saw that he was really smart, like beyond his age, like he's really in a grade above. And so they were like, oh, he's really, really smart. And it's because when you homeschool, you're kind of more active with them. Like, you're really like, you're in there, even if they're taking online school. Like, my children take online school. Even when they do that, you're more involved, because you're like, did you do this? Did you do that? No, you need to do this project. Let me read it. Like, when something comes, if it's a holiday thing, I immediately tell them, nope, my children don't do that. Or when it comes to the feast days, like for Sukkot, I tell them, no, my children are going to be off for a week keeping high holy days. So that's how I kind of counter the influence, but it's always going to be there. And for me, it's a constant countering it. Like, it's a constant when they hear something, because as a mom, like, you don't hear everything that they hear. They have all those TikToks and all those different stuff, right? Yeah. And so I always have to counter, and I'm just thankful that the way that we are now, the community that we have now, it's a village. And so I have other sisters and brothers that know how to also counter things. So when I say stuff, it's not just coming from me. It's coming from the community. You understand what I'm saying? Like, because sometimes they don't want to listen to mom. It's kind of like, mom, you're just being overprotective. You know, I'm kind of like, I'm a helicopter mom is what they tell me. I'm always hovering over my children. Yeah, I'm like, what you doing? What you watching? Who's it? You know, like, I'm constantly doing that, you know, and so they just see me like that. But at the same time, they understand I'm passionate about them. You know, I don't want them to be hurt. And so I just constantly, the way I counter is just with the script. If they bring something to me and be like, Mom, but it's not that bad, right? And I'm like, well, what does the Bible say about it? So I bring them to the scripture. Or, you know, we'll watch a video that will reveal things to them, and I'll show them like certain things, like, did you know that they're doing this? Did you know that they're changing that? Like what you just told me about the whole change of the woman. I'm going to share that with my children. Look at the definition so that they're aware of it and they know that that's how the world changes things.
Exactly.
So, you know, that's how I counter it. I just counter it with script, like constant, but you have to do it. I will tell sisters, just know that you're going to have to do it constantly because we live in such a wicked world. You can shelter your children all day, but you still have to go to the grocery store. You still have to go places. They still have to interact. My son's in college, so he's going to be experiencing different stuff. Even though he's doing online school, he still may have to go into the building, and he's going to see all kinds of things. So it's important to give them the Torah while they're little. The scripture says, train them up in the way that they should go, and it will never depart from them. And that word, train them up, means literally, when you look at it in the Hebrew, it means to dedicate your children. So we're supposed to dedicate those children. They're not ours. They don't belong to us. They belong to the Most High. He's just lending. He's like, I'm giving you this, you take care of it, and they come back to me. They still belong to him. And so I think when they understand, mommy takes care of you, mommy loves you, but you belong to the Most High first. Like that's, if mommy goes off and I start doing some type of crazy stuff, you don't leave the Most High. You keep the commandments. If daddy starts doing, and that's what we've always told them. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't matter if your friends are doing something weird. Doesn't matter if your aunt's doing something weird. Doesn't matter if I'm doing something if it goes against script, it goes against script.
That's right.
You need to know scripture for yourself.
You need to know it for yourself.
That's
exactly.
Right. Personal relationship with the Most High. And that's what does the life changing. I saw a change in my daughter when she gained a personal relationship with the Most High and prayed on her own. And, you know, if it was a test, doing those things on her own without me having to tell her, come on, let's pray. You know, she began to find out, you know, okay, I'm 15. I'm accountable for some stuff here. Like, the Most High is watching me and everything I do. And even that 11-year-old, I tell him all the time, I'd be like, even when mommy doesn't see it, the Most High sees it. You know, and when you know, you know. And you know better what to do, what you should do, what you shouldn't watch, what you know, can watch, all of those things. Mommy shouldn't have to hover over you for you to be obedient. Right. Because remember that the Most High is always watching. And that's something that my mom taught me. And I really believe it kept me from doing some crazy things. Like some things that my friends were doing, I wasn't doing it. Because I was like, oh my gosh, what if Jesus comes back right now? Like that.
And I think that's one of the reasons why they want to try to say that we're in a galaxy with so many millions and billions of other galaxies and stuff to make us seem so far away from the Most High.
Yes.
Because it's like we're so far away that he really doesn't see us. But he says he knows how many hairs are on our head.
Gosh.
You know, so we're not that far away from him.
No.
He sees us. And in one of David's Psalms, he's like, if we go into the deepest parts of the earth, he's still, you know, he's right there.
That's right. nothing can separate you. Only sin separates you. And even then, he chastens who he loves, right?
Yeah.
So he loves us. So he's always going to correct us. The Most High, like I said, he has a good way of humbling us. And I tell my children, let me tell you, my children don't get away with nothing. When I tell you, that's another thing I want to encourage. Constantly stay with the Most High and pray, because when you do, the Most High reveals everything. If your child is doing something they're not supposed to do, he doesn't let it go. And my children have learned so much that you will get caught every time you do something that you're not supposed to do. Because guess what? Because your mama is praying, I belong to the Most High, you belong to the Most High. Therefore, you will be chastened. He's going to get you if you don't do what you're supposed to do. And that getting you probably is going to come in the form of your parents. Yeah, it's going to come in the form of punishment. It may come in the form of a spanking, whatever. But it's going to come. It's coming. It's coming. Definitely. And you're going to get caught. And I don't care if it could be like a week or something that goes by. And you think you got by with it. And bam. And that's how the Most High is with us. Every time something happens, when something occurs in my life, the Most High always shows me why it's happening. Like he never leaves it to where I'm like, why me? He's like, oh, why you? Okay, let me show you. So remember when I told you, you know what I'm saying? Like you reap what you sow. And so even, with our children and stuff, I had to remember the things that I put my mom through. I thank the Most High that my daughter is nothing close to what I was when I was a teen. Oh, praise him. But again, that's what Torah does. You know what I'm saying? Like Torah is something so special that we giving to our children at that young age, that they understand that this is rebellion if you do this. You know what I'm saying? I just felt like, I can just repent for it. That was my mindset as a child. I was just like, well, if I do this, then I'll just ask for forgiveness. If I do that, then I just ask for forgiveness. But my children understand that if you willfully sin, there's no more sin sacrifice. Right. So you cannot willfully sin. That's not what the Messiah came to do. I think that that's so important for children to understand, so that they don't think that they just have all these strikes that they can get. You can't just, yes, we have to work out our own salvation. We're going to make mistakes. Anybody that says they have no sin is lying. We all deal with things, but to actively live in iniquity is a no. And so I teach that to them all the time. And I'm like, you cannot do that. You have to constantly walk with the Most High. And when you see yourself going off the path, if you see a bunch of people with you, 9 times out of 10, that's not the narrow path. If you got a ton of people agreeing with it, 9 times out of 10, that's not the narrow path. Because the world is at enmity to the Most High. You know what I'm saying? They're against the Most High. They don't want anything good for our children. So as a mom, it's important, as scripture tells us, I believe it's in Proverbs, where it says that don't forsake the Torah of your mother. It didn't say the Torah of your father, it said the Torah of your mother, because when they're born, we are supposed to teach them Torah. We're supposed to teach them the way. And when we don't do that, they get tossed to and fro with every wind and doctrine, because now they have all kinds of esoteric, whatever stuff that they have out there, believing in something, and like you said, galaxies, millions, and I believe this, and I believe it's all kinds of stuff that they have out there that make children feel like, well, I'm smarter than you, Mom. Because
exactly.
And you're like, but you're not smarter than the Most High. So none of this caught him by surprise. He knows what we were going to be facing in these last days, and he knew that it would be like in the days of Noah. So it's important for us to make sure that we preserve, his Torah, and continue to walk in his law, statutes, and commandments, and teach that to our children, and be that pillar of rest to our husbands, and just try to be the best you according to the scriptures that you can be.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Oh, praises. I sure do appreciate your time. Thank you very, very much.
Oh, I really enjoyed this. I appreciate you reaching out and asking me to do this. It was really a joy. Definitely looking forward to putting out that album. Should be January, no later than February. And of course, I'll be getting with you for my graphics.
Awesome.
And
yes.
for my album cover and all of those things. So I just want to thank the community for all of the support that people have given me, the messages that were sent, the encouragement, the prayers, the time. Just want to give, thanks to the Most High for putting people like you and Judah Black and Moshe and Adina and all of those people that just truly encourage you to continue to walk in the light and to honor the Most High with your entire being. So I really do appreciate this opportunity. Thank you so much, Koti.
Awesome. Thank you very much for being a part and having this Sista Talk with me.
Yeah, of course. I'd love to do it anytime again.
Okay. And family, thank you guys for tuning in. And join me next week for another edition of Sista Talk. Love you guys. And again, I appreciate you guys holding on for me because I was running late today. But thank you guys for sticking with me. Love you all and shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom, it's your Ak Judah Black, and you're tuned in to truthmusic.com. The Z is for Zion.